everyone, so this is going to be the video where I talk about Buyee, Japonica Market and Neokyo as proxy services and basically compare them and sort out like the pros and cons of each one and maybe help some people that don't know which one to use, because obviously depending on which one you use you could be spending more or less, or you may be getting the items you want quicker and easier or more safely, I guess. So just to say that these magazines literally have nothing to do with what I'm going to be talking about. I just put them here so you have something pretty to look at while I'm talking. And I did get these both through proxy services because they are both Japanese magazines, so I thought it was appropriate. I'm just going to go straight into talk about the different proxy services. I'm going to talk about each one individually, and then at the end I'll just do a kind of overall talk about or like overall I guess conclusion about the different ones. So we'll start with Buyee, because Buyee is like the most well-known one. I feel like Buyee is the one that most people go to first, just because a lot of other collection YouTubers use them / are sponsored by them, so there's a lot of like sponsored links which you can get some money off, which is good. I mean, you should definitely use them. If you haven't used Buyee yet, there's literally so many different collection YouTubers who have links that can get you some money off the first time you use it, so definitely go like look them out. I'm obviously not sponsored by anyone, I'm just talking about personal experiences. So Buyee is definitely the most expensive out of these three proxy services, and that is because not only does it have a 500 yen fee on every item, but there's a lot of additional things that you have to pay for. So there's 1,000 yen for a consolidation fee, which is the most expensive out of these three. And then on top of that, you have to pay for any insurance you want on the items, which basically guarantees that if the item gets lost, Buyee will actually do something about it. I have actually had an item get lost before, and because I didn't pay for insurance, they wouldn't do like anything. And when I say anything, I mean they wouldn't even like contact anyone to try to find her or anything. And obviously they didn't give me a refund, but I didn't want a refund. I wanted contact to the post office, but they wouldn't even do that. So that's something to keep in mind if you're doing a lot of like expensive items. You may have to pay more because you want the insurance on the items, but that isn't the case with Neokyo and Japonica Market. And then on top of that, you also have to pay if you want protective packaging. Buyee, when they do consolidation, it's literally that they just put it in a box. So if you have something that might be damaged easily, you would want the protective packaging, but obviously you have to pay an additional fee for that. So that is why Buyee is the most expensive one. That being said, it's also, I'd say, the most accessible one. It's the most easy, I guess, to use, in my opinion. I would say Neokyo and Buyee have very similar interfaces, but Buyee, because it has so many shops like built into the service, because they're partnered with a lot of services, especially Mercari, which I'll talk about later, but because it's built in, everything is all done on the one website and you don't need to go through different websites. And also they have very, very quick customer service that is accessible to a lot of different places. Obviously I'm an English speaker, so I don't know what it's like with other languages, but they have a very good like foreign department, I guess you'd call it, because obviously that's what they deal with. But like Japonica Market is run, I think it's run by like just a family or one person or something, so their English is good, but it's not like to the same level. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're going to have like, if you think you might have big problems or you have very specific requests, Buyee may be better for you. I don't know. But yeah, and also, as I said, it is partnered with a lot of services, including Mercari. Because it's partnered, this also means that there's a delay for when you can buy things on Mercari through Buyee compared to when you can buy things on actual Mercari, if that makes sense. So when it appears on Mercari through Buyee, it's about a day delay from when it actually was listed on Mercari, and that's because of the partnership they have. Then they want to give people in Japan first access, which makes sense because it is a Japanese service. But this also means that if you're looking for a very rare item that's going to be sold out quickly, it's probably going to be sold out literally by the time it's already listed on Buyee. So that is something to keep in mind if you're considering using Buyee. You also can't change the package value at all on Buyee. It is what it is. So if you have customs like I do, you're basically going to get customs on any package you get. So that's like an additional fee, which also makes it more expensive. But I will say that Buyee probably has the most shipping options from what I've seen. I know things have been a bit weird with pandemic recently, but I would say Buyee definitely has the most shipping options. So you can choose one that's very, very quick and obviously more expensive, or you could choose one that is very, very cheap, but obviously will take a little bit of time. Oh, and the other thing to mention is that with Buyee, they have lots of coupon offers. So although it is the most expensive one, they almost always have coupons where you can get money off, so it's not as bad. So you should definitely take use of those coupons. If you don't know how to use them, I'm sure there's loads of tutorials out there, but you basically just need to go to the coupon page and download, like that's in quotation marks, you don't download it, you kind of download it to your account, and then you can apply it when you buy things, and you can get a lot of money off through using coupons. I will also say Buyee is really good for buying from sites other than Mercari. That's what I personally use it for, which I did with both of these. Although I have bought on Mercari before, which has been shown. I would say Buyee, because of how quick it is, and also all the shipping options and etc., the services, and how specific you can be with your requests, your requests. I would say it's really good for buying things from other sites, because you can buy from like majority of Japanese sites through Buyee. So that's what I personally use Buyee for. But yeah, that's basically everything about Buyee. I guess we'll move on to talking to Neokyo next, because I feel like that's the most similar. So Neokyo, first of all, it has the lowest service fee. I think everyone knows this. That's why it's become more popular recently, because, you know, it has a lower service fee of 250 yen, which 250 yen is about, I would say, like £2, I think, and then 500 yen is about £4 or £5. So even though it doesn't seem like a lot, if you're buying a lot, that fee can obviously rack up to quite a bit. So having a lower fee is obviously, I mean, I don't think I need to point that out, but it's obviously the better choice. And it only has a 500 yen consolidation fee, so that's, again, half the amount of Buyee, which makes it a lot less expensive. However, because Neokyo isn't officially partnered with Buyee, they have a lot of issues with Mercari and like a blocking system, because obviously Mercari is officially partnered with Buyee, so they don't want other services buying from it to use as a proxy service, which is why they have so many blocks. And so they have to be very specific with requests, and you don't know if they're going to get another block or what's going to happen. There isn't the same security that you have if you're buying through Buyee, because as I said, Buyee is officially partnered, Neokyo is not. One main complaint a lot of people had with Neokyo is that they're slow, and I have noticed over the past, I'd say, I think 3 months I've been using them, they've sped up a lot with buying things on Mercari. Not so much other places, but Mercari especially, they've sped up a lot. And now I've noticed it's pretty much the same speed as Buyee or Japonica Market, at least in the past couple weeks since recording this video. I don't know if that's going to stay, and like I said, I don't know if they're going to get blocks again, I don't know what's going to happen, but because of that blockage, you don't have the same selective buying choice that you have on other proxy services. You can't be specific with the items you want, because they don't want to do anything commenting or like that to kind of stop themselves being blocked, which makes sense, but it does mean you either have to do big bundles of items or you can't buy specific items, which you may miss out on because they can't do those specific items. I will also say Neokyo, again, it has a great interface, similar to Buyee but not completely the same, and I really like Neokyo's interface. Oh, and this is one thing that is the same for both Buyee and Neokyo. You can display it in your currency, so you don't have to figure out conversion fees and things like that, because they do it all in your currency if you change the settings. I know not everyone knows what the settings are, but you can do it. Neokyo also has a lot of shipping options. Obviously, it's dependent on the global situation, but same with Buyee, they have a lot of shipping options, so if you're worried about the shipping price, you can do cheaper methods. I feel like they're about the same as Buyee, they have the same amount of methods. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because Japonica Market only has a select few. Neokyo, I think, is really, really good for general use. With both Buyee and Japonica Market, you can only hold items for 30 days, but for Neokyo, you can do 45 days. So I think it's good for buying a lot over a long period of time. So maybe if you're doing album collections, you've started a new album collection, and you want to buy big bundles of photo cards for a specific member because you started a new collection, you can get a bunch over a long period of time and for the cheap service fee, and you can basically finish a collection very quickly, very cheaply through doing that. However, for Neokyo, you can change the value of your package, but only to 70% less of the total amount. So if you don't know how to calculate that, you get the total amount, you times it by 0.3, and that will be 30% of the total amount, which is 70% less. So that's how you can figure that out. So that does mean you're limited to how much you can put in one package at a time, but that is better than Buyee, where you can't edit it whatsoever. And they don't say this, but they do mark it as a gift, so that's a good thing to keep in mind. But yeah, so I'd say Neokyo is really good for general use on Mercari or Rakumafill or whatever for long-term collections or like starting new collections. And yeah, so for the final service that I'm talking about in this video, it's Japonica Market. So Japonica Market is different to both Buyee and Neokyo in that it doesn't have an interface. You do everything through email, which can get a little bit confusing / annoying just because you have to look through your emails to figure out things, and things can get lost in your email. I've talked about this before, that because it's all done through email, things can get lost, or you might have to send reminders and things. Obviously, like, not every day, but, you know, if it's been a week and they haven't replied, you need to be like, oh yeah, this is still a thing. And they'd be like, oh yeah. And like I said before, that it is obviously for a foreign market, but because it isn't run by staff, it's like a home business mall kind of thing. The speaking ability isn't the same level, so I'm not sure how it would do with other languages other than English. And even with English, obviously, simple language is better for, like, if you want very specific things, you know, the simpler you can say it, the better, just so there's no confusion. Because obviously, they're working hard, they're doing their best, but they can't understand everything. You get what I mean? So, yeah, there is also no consolidation fee on Japonica Market, which is nice. And they're also super fast. They buy things almost immediately. And yeah, it's got the same 500 yen service fee as Buyee, but I feel like that's fine considering how fast they buy things. And also, like I said, there's no consolidation fee. You do have to pay the fees when you pay the shipping though, rather than paying with the item. So it's definitely something you should keep track of if you're buying a lot, because you can end up with this huge shipping fee, which is like, you know, like £50 when the shipping is only like £10. So it's one that you really have to keep track of yourself, because there is an official interface. It's all done through emails. So it's a lot of self-tracking, self-budgeting kind of service. And you can change the package value to whatever you want. Obviously, you have to remember that if the package does get lost, you can only claim back to whatever amount was lost. So although to avoid customs it's good, you got to keep that in mind if you're putting a lot in there, and there's always that chance that it can get lost. No matter how good the service is, there's always that chance that something can happen with the postage. So even though that you can put in as much as you want, I would definitely recommend limiting it to a certain amount, just so that if it does get lost, you're not completely screwed over. But yeah, and also, like I said before, they have limited shipping options compared to Buyee Neokyo. There's only 4, I believe, on the official page or site. So yeah, that's also something to keep in mind. Although the 4, like, that they have, they're good enough. It's just something to keep in mind if you want to, you know, kind of be aware of your shipping options. You also, although you can change which one you choose by emailing them, you don't know how much it's going to be until the end. So that's also, basically, a lot of it is a shot in the dark until you get that final invoice to figure out how much money you're spending, which is always fun. But I definitely recommend Japonica Market if you're looking for rare or new items. So, for example, maybe exclusive items, things like limited cards, or I'm trying to think of a good example. Oh, and obviously, you know, like Japanese exclusive items, which can get really expensive. I think they're definitely the best for rare things. So I'd recommend using them after like an album has released, when everything's new and everything's going quickly, because you do have 30 days to buy things. So it's not the end of the world. It's just, in my opinion, you should make use of that 30 days as much as possible and buy as much in that 30 days as much as possible, just because, like I said, you have that 30 days to buy as much as you want to ship it all together, and that saves fees in the long run rather than doing 2 orders, which has like sort of a lot. So yeah, I'd think about when you're starting these orders as well. But yeah, Japonica Market, really good for stuff you want to buy quickly. That's the final thought. So to do like a final overview of all these things, I definitely don't think any of these you shouldn't use. They all have good benefits and, you know, pros and cons to each one. Like I said, with Buyee, you do have the security of the fact that they're officially partnered, but it is the most expensive. So it depends whether or not you want that security. And as I said before, Buyee is really good for specific items from any Japanese site. For example, these magazines, which I bought, which I didn't buy through Mercari. I bought this one through Amazon Japan and this one through the official shelter site. So that is one thing I do recommend them for. For Neokyo, I recommend for general use, and also because Neokyo is the cheapest if you're a bit short on funds. Just remember that if you do get customs, keep track of how much you're putting in a package, because you can only do it to a certain, you can only edit the amount of the package to a certain amount. And then for Japonica Market, I recommend for things that you definitely know are going to sell quickly, because even though it is more expensive than the Neokyo, they almost will get it every time. So I definitely recommend them for that. So yeah, that's kind of my overview. I hope it wasn't a mess. I have no idea how this turned out, so I hope I wasn't talking gibberish the entire time. Obviously there's more proxy services than these three. These are just the three that I've used. If anyone has any recommendations for other ones, I guess say. I'd be up for checking them out. With all of them, there's different pros and cons. It's just finding the one that's right for you. And yeah, I hope this was helpful to some people. And thanks for watching if you did. Bye!